the baby's brought in. That's awesome. Good job, Chris. Hey, what a great day. I mean, it's hump day, we're over the hump. We have one more full day here. I think about extending the week. What do you think? We need some legislation, man. Extend Boys Day every week. All right, it'll get denied, but anyway, you can try. Coming from a little short chubby guy, I think we need an ice cream machine. No, I'm proud of every one of y'all in this room. I know Dr. Rob has said that time and time again, Dr. Eagle, Colonel Sweeney, we're proud of you. You should be proud of yourselves. And more importantly, when you go home, I want you to stand tall because other people are going to look at you knowing that you just completed Boys State, and they're going to be proud of you. Mom and Dad are going to be proud of you. They're talking about you right now. They see all the pictures and videos and things. So know that your actions made a difference this week. Ooh. All right. So we'll go ahead and get started again. We have another great speaker for you. He was with us last year. It was a huge hit, and we're grateful that he could come back this year. Very busy schedule. But I'll go ahead and introduce our next guest. Josh Melton serves as the Assistant Director of the Criminal Investigation Division, CID, at the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. In this capacity, he oversees a team of approximately 140 special agents and support staff statewide, coordinating investigations across Tennessee's 4 regional offices. Under his leadership, the CID handles a diverse array of cases, including homicides, public corruption, human trafficking, and drug-related crimes. The division is also responsible for specialized units such as firearm investigations, polygraph examinations, and victim services. Like I said, he was here last year. Let's give it up for Agent.
Thank you all so much. So I wake up every day and I say I want to keep my gratitude higher than my expectations. But I am certainly grateful to be here. And I never expect to get that kind of an introduction, clapping, and all of the accolades that I've gotten as I've presented to this group before. But I tell you, you won't wait till I'm the President of the United States. Y'all make me feel special. And I really appreciate it. I'm always so excited to be here every year. And I want to start out by just really taking a minute to congratulate each of you all for the seat that you sit in here today, for the decision that each of you have made to be in a leadership place and seat. And that's what you're going to hear me talk about today, is really a conversation that nobody had with me growing up. And it wasn't because anybody didn't care about me or nobody wanted to inspire me to do great things. It just didn't seem like that there was a platform for people your age, for me, to have these kind of conversations, to really start to lead me in the right direction and to really lead in place. And that's what you're going to hear me talk about a lot today, is when do I become a leader and how? And I'm going to talk a little bit about TBI. And I hope a lot of you find interest in TBI. I certainly have. I dedicated my life to the state of Tennessee when I was 18 years old. I've not worked for TBI that long, but I have worked for the state of Tennessee every consecutive year since I was 18. I'm 50 now, if that tells you anything. I've been doing this for a long time. And I say all that to say, I'll I'll tell you a little bit about the story and how I think that it can benefit you. And also, I will say that this really isn't that much about TBI. I want to tell you about the Bureau. I hope you're interested in it. But what I really want you to hear are what I think are life lessons that I can teach you about how to be a leader here and how to do it in place, and really kind of tailor this conversation into not just how can I be successful inside of an agency, how and why should I come to TBI, but how can I be a success no matter what life decision that I make or what career that I decide to go into. And if anybody knows anything about business, the Fortune 500 company CEOs and big businesses everywhere, any of those folks that run those kind of businesses have coaches. You've ever heard of that, right? Have executives have coaches. I didn't know that. I thought they were smart people that were born leaders who knew business really well. And so you're going to hear a lot from me today that you're like, why is he telling me about all of these little things that really have nothing to do with TBI? It's because, one, I can either teach you to be successful in your friendships, your family, the business you're in, or I might make you a millionaire. And I hope that gets your attention, because I may not be good at a lot. I'm just an old country boy from East Tennessee, and I'm proud to be a country boy from East Tennessee. But I have been taught by people the value of relationships. I've been taught about people the value of business and how it's conducted. And I hope I can teach you about this agency and give you something you can take away from here, that no matter what you do, TBI or something else, that you're like, man, you know what, I can think back. And that one thing Josh told me really led to an opportunity to be highly successful in a leadership position. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Thanks for bearing with me through the intro. Let's see if I can get this clicker to work, and we'll get started. So again, my name is Josh Melton. I'm the Assistant Director of TBI, and I am just so blessed to serve in that position. I'll be honest with you, I never thought I would be here, so being here is certainly special. And so let me start with a little bit about the agency. Then we're going to move into some of these other topics about leadership. And who is the TBI? So the TBI it is what you would think it is. It's the state police. Everybody's heard of special agents, so I don't know the difference between TBI and FBI. We're a state level Bureau of Investigation assigned to handle most major crimes inside of Tennessee. And I'm going to break that down a little bit and talk about what are the divisions inside of the Bureau, what do we do, and what does it mean. It's tough to read up there. See, this is what happened, so I'll tell you how old I was. And you really start to see. So here's what our mission statement is. The guilt shall not escape with innocent suffering. Anybody ever heard of a mission statement before? Most of you? Like I said, it's amazing how many things that I do where I talk to people who've never heard of a mission statement. Mission statements are important for two reasons. One is because the people who work for the organization need to understand what's expected of them. Plain and simple. And then it's forward-facing, is the public needs to know, what is your mission? And that's ours. And people ask me all the time, they'll sit down at the end of some of these presentations, and somebody may have this in your mind that you'll ask me later on, and it is, hey, Josh, what is the coolest part of your job? What is it that makes you wake up every day and decide, I can't wait to go to work for TBI? It's this mission statement, and it's the first and the second half. And it's easy. The guilt shall not escape, that's the easy part, right? We're putting killers in jail. We're putting rapists in jail. We're doing all of those things that are so mission critical to public safety. But secondly, is that innocent shall not escape. And how many of you all, by just a quick show of hand, have been accused of something that you hadn't done? Every single person in the room. Now, think about the consequences. I'm going to tell you why it's important to us. Think about the consequences. What somebody had accused you of that you hadn't done led to capital punishment or being put in prison for the rest of your life. That's a big deal. And I think that's why we take so seriously as part of our job. A lot of times we get referred to investigations where what somebody did is not true. And so it's really important to us to be able to go back and put a case file on the desk of a prosecutor and say, they didn't do it. They didn't do it. Why? This is why. You just can't imagine what that feels like. Now, am I trying to take away from what it feels like to put a killer in jail? Well, no. One of the best feelings in the world. You catch a killer that's done something just horrific, and being able to put them in prison is a good day. I'm not trying to take away from that. But this part of the mission is so important. And then who works for us? We are about 1,000 strong now. Most of those are commissioned employees, commissioned meaning gun and badge toters. And then we have non-commissioned employees who are support staff in a lot of roles. And I think that's what's really important to know about our agency, is that there's a job for everybody. If you like the excitement of investigations and all the capacities that you're getting ready to see and hear about, fantastic. If you don't, but you want to be a part of that mission without kicking doors and putting handcuffs on folks, we have a job that's equally as important in our agency. And I'll talk a little bit about that for a little while. Here's the promise I make to you. We're not going to do this forever. We're not going to do PowerPoints forever. I hate PowerPoints and I hate those kind of presentations. We're going to spend just a little bit of time getting started on this conversation, and then when we do, we're going to go into all these life lessons, and then we're going to move into what you want to hear about. Because that's a whole lot more important than what I want you to hear about from me. That's an old slide. We have about 1,000. All right, so the Criminal Investigation Division. I'm the Assistant Director of the Criminal Investigation Division. And what we do is exactly what you think it is. You know, if you watch the first 48, CSI, all those kinds of things, that's what we do. I'll tell you that probably 60+% of what this division does is homicide major crimes. The other part of what we do is public corruption, officer-involved use of force, you name it, we do it. Anything that DAs ask us to do. Y'all heard from General Dunaway earlier, maybe today. So we work in partnership with the DAs who are our prosecutors who prosecute our cases, and anything that they ask us to investigate, we do. Most of the time, that's homicide. We were developed as an agency to support and work in partnership with local law enforcement to be able to provide a product for the DA's office. Our Drug Investigation Division is what you think it is. I will tell you, we have one of the best drug investigation divisions in the country, absolutely in the country. They work everything from street level crime, we work undercover cases, all the way up to cartel cases and transnational organized crime. This is a lot. I spent half of my career as an ARC. And man, that was some good times, that was some hard times, and then transitioned into homicide major crime. But this is a space that is super interesting. So I want to move into the next thing for a second, but I'm going to flip back to this. I got one public, I'm asking y'all to bear with me through all the hard stuff to begin with. We're going to get into the fun stuff here in a minute. But the next thing is our crime laboratory. So our crime laboratory, with the exception of one other lab in Nashville Metro, takes in every piece of evidence collected by the police in the state. So over 60,000 pieces of evidence come through our 3 crime labs across the state a year. That's a bunch of evidence. Everything from blood toxicology on DUIs, drugs, sexual assaults, you name it, that evidence comes through here. So here's a public service announcement for you. And this is an important one, so please pay attention to it. Then I'll be done lecturing about things like this. So who can tell me, so there's 2 ways that you can identify pills that come into our crime lab. 2 ways. And one of those ways is by taking the pill, crushing the pill, breaking it down, and being able to look at the chemical structure of the pill to know what it is or it's not. That's one way. What's the other way?
Eat it.
Oh, that's a horrible answer. That's a horrible. Everybody who just said eat it, I'm talking to you. Seriously, somebody raise your hand that has these questions. I'm sorry. So that's kind of the chemical structure of it, is testing for that. But anybody that's good, it's right. It's just as part of the first steps. Anybody else? Okay? Could, but this is, I want y'all to think really simple about this. And what's the most simple way you can tell what it is? You raise your hand. That's it. What it looks like. Is what color is it? What shape is it? What stamping marks are on? That's our challenge point. And what numbers are on it? So there's books that tell what all these tablets are. Now, here's the part you got to pay attention to. It used to be that all of these thousands and thousands of pills came through our drug lab, every year, and that's the way they tested them. Unless they didn't know what it was, they would look at it, they would look at their book. Yep, it's yellow, it's round, it's got the number 076 on it with a slash in the middle. That's drug A. Not anymore. Because it used to be easy to be able to tell a counterfeit. Not just like looking at a counterfeit $20 bill versus one that's real. They can't do that anymore. Because those who counterfeit pills have now gotten so good at it that even our lab scientists can't tell the difference. But visually they can't tell the difference. So they have to crush them and look at them in a completely different way. Now, why is that important to you? Because part of what the drug division does that is so critical is drug overdose investigations. And I'm not going to ask everybody in here to raise your hand about who all's lives have been touched by overdoses. But man, it's a terrible thing. But here's the thing that I think may shock you, is that most of the cases that I hear about are not cases of people that have been drug addicted for 15 years and are out on the streets drug addicted. Most of the people that I hear about having drug overdoses are kids just like each one of you all. Kids that are up all night studying for tests. And oh my gosh, I gotta stay up, I gotta study, I've got 3 finals tomorrow, I gotta push through. And somebody says, here's an Adderall to help you stay asleep. I stay awake, and guess what? It's not Adderall. And it's fentanyl. And they lose their life. And I say that, I hate doing this. I hate taking time out of these presentations. But every time that I speak to young people who I know, people who are dedicated to their lives and their successes, I think, well, maybe I'll save one of you. Right? Maybe I'll save one of you. And I don't mean this to sound like any of y'all are going to use drugs. I'm saying, if you ever thought about doing this, what you thought was the right thing, it could be the wrong thing. Everybody cool with that? Let me just say that one time.
Yes, sir.
All right. So y'all heard me talk a little bit about if you don't want to be an agent, what can you do? And this was important. Our criminal intelligence analysts are the folks who find those who are getting ready to commit violent acts before they happen. Or they support criminal investigations and pull intelligence that's used to drive criminal investigations. So I used to supervise a unit who, the entire unit did just this. And these folks were hungry to be a part of something, but they never got the credit. Here's why they don't get the credit. Because what these folks do are find bad actors who are getting ready to do something, and they pass this information along to special agents who stop it or local law enforcement before it ever happens. So if anybody's ever been called out of school because there was a bomb threat, these are the folks that work on that. They'll see them online, they'll find it beforehand, and they'll alert, either somebody inside our agency that's an agent or local law enforcement, and they stop it. And so we all walk around at the mall feeling great about the fact it's a good day at the mall. A lot of times what you don't know is somebody could have potentially been planning on blowing up that same mall that you were at that day, and these folks stopped it. And I just don't know that they get enough credit for it, so I wanted to make sure to mention them. One, so you know that they're out there, but two, in case you're like, I want to be a part of something important, but I don't want to kick doors. This is a great opportunity, and these folks' role are just equally as important as those who work inside of our criminal division. So, I want to talk a little bit about the structure of TBI. So, stay with me on this. There's the director of TBI, that's the guy who is the head of our organization. The deputy director who oversees all criminal processes for every division that you just saw, plus a bunch of others that I don't want to bore you with. And then there's the assistant director, who is myself, who oversees the criminal division. So that's 1, 2, 3, right? And then all of the folks that fall underneath me, SACs, ASACs, special agents, the whole 9 yards. So, out of memory, the leader of the organization is
Director.
true. But also, is it true? You know, I mean, how blessed am I to be in the position that I'm in? But I'll tell you, at the end of the day, if I walked out here, across the street, to somebody who had been involved and victimized by a crime, and I said, I'm Josh Melton, I'm the assistant director at TBI. They'll be like, so? I mean, who am I? Number 3 in charge? So? It doesn't matter to anybody. The person that matters to this neighborhood, this community, are special agents and criminal intelligence agents who are working and leading in place. They're leaders. They're there in the mud, and the blood, and the tears, and everything else. Those are our leaders. Those are the people that everybody looks to in the middle of crisis. They're the ones that are holding people that are crying. It's them. And the point of all of that is to say, you have to learn to lead in place. And that's something that nobody told me. Now, I will say, I figured it out. And I think it's part of why I've been successful. But I want all of you to understand what that means for you. As you all have sat here throughout the course of the time you've been here, and as you will be over the next day, y'all size each other up. I mean, you chose leadership within here. You decided who your friends were going to be, the people that you spend your time with. You do it in the school that you're at. You do it in the neighborhood you live in. Everybody is watching you all the time. And you have to choose right now who you're going to be as a leader, because being a leader is not something that just happens. It is a trained and learned thing. And if you start to do it now, you will become extremely good at it later. So I want to tell you a little bit about my story. And I hope that getting out of the PowerPoint and into some of these conversations are a whole lot more interesting. People will come, young people or folks who have been detectives and for a long time who want to get into this business, they'll sit on the other side of my desk and man, assistant director of TBI, how did you get there? Tell me the formula of how you got there. And I said, I clean bathrooms better than anybody can clean bathrooms with a smile. People are like, what are you talking about? I said, I worked as a seasonal laborer for Tennessee State Parks when I was a young kid, when I was 18 years old. Every summer I worked, and I would then say, Josh, you know what? Your job is to go clean the bathrooms. Yes, sir. And I went and did it. And I cleaned them better than I thought anybody had ever cleaned them. And I smiled about it. And the next day, guess what they asked me to do? Clean the bathrooms. And the next day, bathrooms, 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 bathrooms. And then one day, they said, you know what, every time we ask Josh to go clean the bathrooms, he doesn't complain about it, he smiles about it. Let's give him a little bit more responsibility. And a little bit more responsibility, and a little bit more responsibility. And the next thing you know, I'm doing something that seemed much more important to me. And then before long, I've graduated from college, and they remember, we could count on Josh every time that I ask him to do anything, from cleaning the bathroom to whatever it may be. He'd make a great park ranger. So that was my story. As I went from cleaning bathrooms to being an enforcement park ranger, I ran interdiction for the Park Service, doing drug interdiction work with dogs for about 3.5 years, became a narcotics agent, worked on DEA's task force doing organized drug crimes for about 7 years, worked under was the ASAC over the criminal division in the East, was the SAC over intelligence for the whole state. And then I got this job. And when I got this job, I got a call. And it was the deputy director. He said, hey, I need you to come to my office if you're here, because I'm not here right now, I'm out in the field. He said, okay. He said, when can you be here? I said, 2 days later. He said, be here 2 days later and talk to me and the director. I said, okay. I didn't sleep for 2 nights. I thought I was fired. I am fired for sure. So they called me in and they said, hey, guess what, Josh? They said, sit down, let's get straight to business, and let's get straight to it. And they said, well, why don't you be assistant director? I said, I'm not fired. I said, no, you're not fired. They said, you need a couple of days to think about it? I said, I don't need 2 seconds to think about it. I thought I was fired for the last 2 days. I want it. And the point of all that is I never looked for a job. Right? I mean, after I got my first job, I never looked for promotions. My philosophy, my whole career was work as hard as you can work where you're at, leading place. If that's where you're at, inside of your school or inside of what you're doing here, lead here. If you're leading cleaning the bathrooms, lead cleaning the bathrooms. Whatever you do, I see so many people in life trying to figure out this process, and they think, I've got to, I want to be the boss. I want to be in supervision. I want to run the show. I want to be a part of something big and something important. If you work head down, wherever you're at, success will find you. People know. I mean, think about your friend group. Think about the people around you. You know who your leaders are. You know, it's like right now, something has to happen. Who am I taking with me? You know. The same way your bosses know. And so that's why I'm telling you, it's so important to understand what leadership in place looks like. Because if you don't do it, it'll never find you. If you look for the job, you won't get it. If you work in place, people will find you. And I'm telling you, that's part of my success stories. I never look for the job. I let the job find me. And I'm not bragging when I say that, guys. When I tell you, I've been surprised every time. I wake up every day going, is today going to be the day they fire me? Because I'm not a smart guy. But I do understand relationships. I understand what the value of people mean. I understand what our purpose is. Just went through that. Don't need the slides. All right. So we talked about that everybody has a coach. I mean, lots of folks have coaches and how important they are. This is the $1 billion slide. This is what people pay big money for. Big money. For the silliest of things. And if I just sat here and said, everybody take 5 minutes and read this slide, you all would say, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. Without really the context to it. And I tell you that within this slide is built a framework for success for just about any job you could possibly ever do. Ever. First one we've already talked about, but you do need to start to think about it, and that's why you're here. Right? Decide what are my goals? You've already made one of those decisions, right? You've decided I'm going to be a leader and I'm going to tell you to do it. And you're going to do it. Stop. Talk about that. We're already getting interested. The preparation part is still the same. The last one. This whole slide is about the last one. Whole slide. Is don't talk bad about people. And treat them right. How silly and how simple is that? But I can tell you that probably while y'all have been here, there's been a lot of conversation about who has said what about you, especially during competition in business, right? Y'all have been up for elected positions. There's a lot of that, right? So imagine what the business framework looks like. Imagine what your future looks like, what your friendships have looked like. When I tell you as a professional, the thing that I have to work on with me every day is this one. It's this one. But I'm telling you, it's also the thing that I think has probably made me the most successful. And so I won't bore you by asking you to show your hands, but the question would have been, how many of you have heard rumors that other people have said about you? And we all know it's all of them. The point of that for business is this, and as leaders, think about it different than from a person and as a leader. It's the same, but it's a heck of a lot more important when you're a leader. Why did you ever hear that somebody was talking about you? And the answer is because if you say it, somebody's going to repeat it. There are no secrets. Period. There are no secrets. So the more frustrated you get, the harder business gets, the harder competition is, like you all have done as you all have gone through elections and everything else. The harder that gets, and I promise you, it gets harder as you get older. It's the harder it is to not talk bad about folks because you want to. You want to be able to say, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I can't believe they're doing that. Done. You think I don't have to work on that every day? I do, because we're in a highly competitive business. Everybody's life in the state of Tennessee depends on the decisions we make every day. And so I get frustrated. Not because I want to talk bad about people, but because it could have cost somebody life. I'm like, that was done. I got to stop that business right now. Because what happens? Somebody that I said that in front of is going to go back and tell them, now guess what? That whole unit just shut off business with me. And now can I keep people safe? I cannot. And I will tell you, you will rise to the top of wherever you go if you learn to do all of those things. Take a time down. If you do all of those things, and then you can stop talking about people. It sounds like a sermon, but I'm telling you, if you stop talking about people, it will change the dynamics of your business. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
And the reason it should make sense is because every one of you have experienced it. And it sounds simple now, but I'm telling you, this is the kind of stuff that Fortune 500 companies get coached on. It's not the hard stuff. It's not, hey, I'm trying to broker a deal with, this other corporation, and how do I make that work? They got that. They're smart. That's why they're there. Coaches help leaders with the simple stuff, because the simple stuff is the big stuff. It's what makes relationships work. Okay? So I want to spend the rest of my time. I found that death by PowerPoint is just terrible. And so the way that I handle most of my presentation is to talk about what you all want to talk about with the Bureau. Everything really important comes from your questions. But what do you want to hear about? I don't have any idea. We do so much stuff. And I think that there's going to be some structure to how you all are going to do this. But let me say this before we get started. I don't get much time to be able to get in front of this meeting, natural born leaders. I don't get the time. Oh, it's okay. Everybody, let's go ahead and do the line so that we don't. All right, y'all ready? Let's bring it down. Okay, y'all ready? I don't get the time to be able to sit. I don't get the time to be able to sit in front of folks very often, especially a group this large. So it's super important. But here's what I would ask you. And I'm going to be giving out some things for the questions, but make your question good, right? I mean, don't make it a question just for you. Make it a question for everybody else in here. And from a leadership perspective, we're going to get deep. This is where I get deep. This is where I'll tell you everything about that I know about my business, about the Bureau. So it doesn't matter what you ask me about. You can ask me about the Bureau. You can ask me about business. You can ask me about recipes for success. Doesn't matter what you got. I'll ask you about. Just make sure it's a good. I'm not going to give you something if it's a bad one. Okay. And we've got coins and we've got some patches, and you can just hand out whatever you want to hand out, or somebody has a preference one way or the other. Let's get started right over here, and so I'll give you my mic.
My name is Nico Elu. I'm originally from Mount Juliet, but for this week I'm with Alexander City, and I'm the senior advisor for me and Coop over there. So the question I wanted to ask was about school shooting and that whole department you had for dealing with those threats beforehand. So back home, there's a school called Anyang High School, and it got shot up, and people lost not only a student but like a friend and all that stuff. So I was wondering, what do you do, or like what does that department truly do to like filter out, because some people do just say these things just to say it, and some people do say it just to mean it. So I was wondering, how do you guys filter out which ones are the real threats and the fake threats, and are you guys doing anything hopefully to improve it and to stop the likelihood of school shootings?
That's what I'm talking about, a good question. So that's a multi-layered question. And one is, that is the $1 million question, right? Which one's real, which one's not? And I'll tell you that the only real way to handle that is to address almost all of them. Because how can you tell which one is or which one isn't? I mean, we've heard the horror stories on the news, right? Of like, this person had been called in on 4 or 5 times in places across the country, and then some horrible thing happened. So what I tell my team is if it looks like it could possibly be real, treat it like it's real. What's our time to go out and find out that it's not? Now, what can we do to improve? Is a list that I could go down forever. Obviously, the ones that happen, which are so tragic, we never saw them. We stop a lot of them, and then there's a lot of them where. So let me tell you about what I think the difference looks like in the landscape. Is it used to be that there were a bunch of folks who knew how to create terror in a community without violating the law. And they were right up to the edge of the line of the law and just be super provocative and make you think they were going to do something super violent. And they wanted you to come talk to them because they wanted to create more problems. And they just kicked sand just right across the line, kicked sand about what it was. And now, not so much. This world has just become so controversial that people just step right over the line. And they'll be like, I'm going to go do thing A, some horrible thing, and step right across the line. And the short answer is, if there is not a solution put in place for mental health, because a lot of that is mental health, we put people in jail, because it's the only way to stop. Does that help? Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. You're welcome. We'll go here next.
Hi, my name is Mike Credible. I'm from Memphis, Tennessee, and I'm representing Cheek City over here. And first off, I'd like to say I really resonate with your point about never talking bad about people and always trying to do the best you can. That's something that I've picked up from my father. It's something I've really tried to stress in the past couple years and changed my life. So thank you for that. Reminding it. My question is, I love Memphis. I love my city. It's my home. I've been there my whole life, and everyone in here knows crime is a big problem, especially in inner city compared to cities like Nashville and Knoxville. So I was wondering, what is the TBI's opinion and how are they trying to address the problem? Because it's a huge problem. It's extremely hard and complex. But what is y'all's goal and what is y'all's strategy for helping to fix the problem in Memphis?
So, also a fantastic question. I know y'all want to throw these difficult ones at me. That's a good one. I think if we had the recipe for success for Memphis, you'd have seen it already applied. It already put there. I mean, we're an absolute fix. But I think it boils down to one thing has to happen, and I'm telling you without giving you the details of what's happening, is that true partnerships have to be formed, and everybody has to pull in the same direction. And I think there has been some time where not everybody pulls in the same direction, and nobody has bad interests at hand. Just everybody thinks that their position on thing A should be thing A, right? And I think now, though, violence has gotten to a level in Memphis where everybody has now come together and said, it doesn't matter what we think, how we think, what strategy we think we should use to do it, whose city it is, whose state it is, whose country it is. It's time to do something about crime in Memphis. And you get ready to see that happen. Without going into the details, I mean, we are ramped up to try to address violent crime in Memphis. Stay tuned. Watch the TV. It's going to get interesting. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Daniel Alley. I'm from Nashville City, ask you, because you're on a much bigger scale, how you use your time and experiences from being undercover to influence the decisions that you make today from a higher position.
So, good question also. So, there's a difference between, understand this. You know, now, we talked about executive coaches, right? When I go to classes on negotiation, they will tell you, and this is the scary part, but it should be the thing that excites you. They said, understand what we're getting ready to teach you about negotiating in relationships. Because that's all undercover is, right? It's being undercover and me having a transactional conversation with you where you trust me to do something, which is sell me drugs, right? The same thing happens in business. I negotiate with you and form a relationship that you trust me to do business. And when I'm in some of these kinds of trainings on this national platform level, they say, look, you got two choices in how you use how I teach you this. It's for good or bad. That's how powerful relationships and negotiations are. To understand is that you can use it for good or you can use it for bad to manipulate. And so, as you all sit here and you listen to folks that speak from the stage, understand how important relationships are as you go through. When I say relationships, the ability to communicate in a way that forms it. So it's a little bit more manipulation inside of a drug deal. I'm making you believe something that's not true. But you use that same kind of strategy in business in a way that is true, that you're using for good. Make sense?
Hi, my name is David Perryman, and I'm from Savannah, and I'm representing Bradshaw over here. And as a kid, I always thought undercover cops were such a cool thing, and I was wondering what's it like to be undercover? What's your crazy story from being undercover?
It's terrifying. First of all, I'll say that there are two kinds of people that handle undercover. Those who are just, they love adrenaline, and those who are very tactically built. And I'm very tactically built. I like the control. There is no control undercover. Anything can happen. I've sat and done drug deals with folks sitting in a recliner while pistols are sitting right there. Everybody's got pistols. Everybody's patting you down looking for your wire, and I've got wires hidden somewhere. That's a very uncomfortable place. But some people love it. I didn't. I would have rather worked structured organization cases. That's what it's good at. I was okay. But, my crazy story, I guess, is I showed up to this trailer, and I was wired up, and I walk inside. This is a long time ago before technology got better. And so I've got this, all my equipment, it's all taped on. I've got a wire that's taped up my chest. And I walk up to the door, and the bad guy walks out. He's like, hey, what's going on? I said, not much. He walks back, and he says, what's wrong? He said, did you hear that? I said, nope. And so we go walk into the trailer, and I hear myself. And I realize he's got a scanner on that's picked up the RF signal that I'm putting out. And there's pistols laid everywhere. Dope laid there, pistols laid there. And I real quickly stuck my hand down. I was like, I've got two choices. He's either going to see me turn it off, or this is going to go real bad. So I stuck my hand down to the side of my pants, turned the equipment off, and it went off. The craziest thing. And we did the dope deal. And it worked. And I was like, Dave, you don't catch the smart ones sometimes. So, you just cut out for it. I wasn't cut out for it. I did it for a long time. I did it for a year and a half, but I didn't love it.
I'm Brent Stratton. I come from Alcoa, Tennessee, in the south of Knoxville, and today I am representing Bradshaw. And I wanted to ask, what is the agency's commitment to, say, trying to solve the rising issue of mistrust with the police and investigative industries over the past few years? we've seen the rise in, like, for example, BLM, Antifa, organizations such as that, in response to, say, George Floyd or several other issues patrolling the states, stretching all the way from even El Paso to Richmond in the South. We've had a long history of it with distrust between minorities and police. What is and there are some solutions, like, for example, community policing. What is the agency's response to trying to build trust between that of investigative forces and those communities?
I love the questions. Y'all kind of keep these questions coming, and I'm going to be super proud. So I would say there's two things for sure. One is that we work the vast majority of officer-involved use of force cases. Some of those are justified, some of them not. And I think the fact that we have established ourselves in that role and investigated these cases very fairly throughout time, where the community sees that we investigate those kind of cases to the level that meets their expectation, is one of those areas. And we've worked just about every major use of force case that's happened in Tennessee. I think secondly is training. We provide police officers with a lot of training, where they understand, you know, what is proper use of force, what is not, and we really talk about what is your training initiative look like to make sure that you don't use excessive use of force. And then the cold hard truth is sometimes that if it's wrong, you let the community see you're willing to put somebody in jail that's done the wrong thing. And those are the three components: being fair in investigations, putting folks that go to jail in jail, and training. Thank you, sir.
My name's Sheila Urban. I'm from Santa Fe, Tennessee, but here I'm from Bradshaw City. I was wondering how often y'all utilize forensic psychology within the TBI, and also do y'all provide any programs and/or internships for people wanting to pursue a career in criminal investigation?
First half of that question is no. We don't do. That's not one of our programs. FBI has it. We don't. Second half is yes, we do provide internships. If any of y'all go on to TBI's website, you have to be a junior or senior in college to get into that program. But it's there, and it's a great opportunity. We've hired a lot of folks who have really shown their ability as an excellent program.
Hello, sir. Mr. John Melton. My name is Arlan Shaib. I'm from Nashville, Tennessee, particularly the Franklin area. And today I'm with Alexander City. I'm
No competition at all in here.
So, now just for context, we had a lecture yesterday from District Attorney Brian Dunaway on social media and how to behave when using devices online. And this topic of technology made me want to connect yesterday's lecture to today's lecture, your lecture. And so my question is, what is the TBI doing to address the growing threat of cybercrime, especially crimes targeting the youth and vulnerable population, people in general?
So to kind of, it's almost the same answer as what I gave over here about use of force. One is we understand now that technology is involved in almost every single case, almost every one of them. So we've invested in the staff to do it. We had a small staffing level for cybercrime. We got agents that the governor's office was kind enough to give us this past budget, and we're getting ready to hire a bunch of them so that we can take more cyber tips in. Because as you probably heard, there's a whole host of types of cyber tips. And secondly is educating the public about it. I mean, I'd say that a bunch of you all heard about things that you just didn't realize was the case yesterday. And it's a tragic thing. I think education and staffing. We're as good as many people as we have to cover it, and we have to train people about what the outcomes can be in these cases. Does that help you? Thank you for your question.
Hello, sir. My name is Luke Dalton. I'm in Swiftwater, Tennessee, here with LaHare City. My question for you is, whether it's law enforcement, elected officials, or other ways, where can our generation, the next leaders, where can we have the most impact for the future? whether it's your department or local, where can we have the most impact?
So I think it depends on what you want to do, right? I mean, and I think that's part of that decision tree that was up there. Decide what you want to do and then decide how you want, where the impact will be. But again, I can really give you the super short answer to this, and that is leading where you are. You know, once you start leading where you are, people will take notice of that, and then I think that's where you have the opportunity to find yourself in a position where people trust you to make an impact. And I know that's silly to repeat the same thing again, but you can't get to a place to have an impact if somebody doesn't trust you to put you in a place of impact. And it is having, you know, it's again, you know, from the worst of the jobs to the best. Make sense? Thank you.
Sorry. So we're having the all-star game. We need the all-star players. If there's any all-star players in here, y'all need to big feet. All right, next question right here.
Hello, sir. My name is Winston Coffey from Macon County, Tennessee. And I just want to ask you a question on more of a personal level. So you mentioned how you had to work your way kind of ground up from cleaning bathrooms to now becoming the assistant director of the TBI. I just wanted to wonder how your faith had an impact on your life and how that helped drive you to where you are now.
Also, man, what another great question. I'm going to tell you, you heard me say that I'm just a country boy from East Tennessee, right? And my views shouldn't impact anybody else's, but I'm going to tell you, for me, I just never felt like, one, I felt like I had a calling to do something. Much like the young man that was over here a minute ago, who said, well, how do you find yourself in this place? I think for me, it was, I said, God put me in the place. You know, you give me the opportunity and load my shoulders full of things that most people's shoulders can't carry, and I'll carry it for you. It was a commitment that I made very early. And then I felt like he took me up on it. I felt like God took me up on that. And, you know, from that came some hard times. And I want to tell you, this is not an easy job. This is a stressful job. I go to bed at night most nights. It takes me a couple hours to go to sleep, trying to unwind from what happens in this job every day. But I made a commitment. And I think that the way that the success came from it is, I think I was protected in it. And I think, again, I'm sorry for forgetting the young man's name because over here ready to go about how you get in these places. I think God put me in a place to be able to make the difference. But it took accepting the responsibility that I was given and taking action. Yep, absolutely. Thank you for a good question.
Hello, I'm Arvin from Trenton City. I got more of a little bit different question for you. So how do you deal with a loss even when you feel like you did everything almost right, you did your all? How do you as a leader deal with that loss?
Move past it. That's a lot of people don't understand that about leadership. Is engage, walk through a door, get past loss. If you get hung up on a loss, you are done. People will see you get lost in loss, and they will not follow you anymore. This is a fantastic question. The same thing is important about engagement. Things are scary, things are difficult, things are tough. If you do not make a decision as a leader when it comes to you, the people will not follow you anymore. You have to be smart enough to make good decisions, but you will fail. If you get to the door of a bad decision, you're standing right at it, and you don't walk through that door, people won't follow you. But you're going to make, I can promise you, if you're here to make a decision, boom, made a decision. Are you going to make a mistake? And are you going to have losses? Absolutely. Will people forgive you for it? Yes, they will. But you have to accept the loss. And when we lost, we're going to win tomorrow. And you keep plowing on. But if you get hung up on it, you're done.
Good evening, sir. My name is Jacob Manley. I am from Hendersonville. My question for you is, how does the agency change whenever crime changes, in a sense, from the ground up leadership to just like the guy in the field?
Yep, so good question. I would say that we as agencies get hung up on not being nimble. And we are good, we're good at what we do, we don't change what we do because we're good at it. That is the biggest mistake that can happen in law enforcement. I can't speak to every type of business, but for law enforcement, that is the biggest thing you can do. You have to be able to say, we got to sharpen the pencil today. Things just changed, we got to change with it. Criminal organizations have changed in a way that's so fast, we're changing with it. Okay. Good question.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Ty. I'm from Knoxville, and I'm representing Maddox City. My question to you is, you said the true leaders of the TBI are like your special agents. So how do you lead when the community, and not just them, and the special agents are the leaders? How do you lead them?
How do I lead them?
Yes.
So, first of all, you have to provide an environment in which they feel safe. Because we're asking them to do things that most normal people don't do, right? I mean, they see things that aren't natural to see. I say normal is not natural, right? So you have to create an environment where you understand you're first, your family's first, it's job, we will take care as an agency. We're here to help you. And then if you make a mistake, we're going to support you. This last question that was just asked on one of these sides about making mistakes, that was on this one. Agents don't feel safe if they know I'm out here making these split-second decisions about things that are so critical. We lead by getting out of the way and letting them do their job, number one. And number two, if you make a mistake, you know, we got you. We understand. And thirdly, is to help them understand the successes that they've had. And that is a charge to all of you, is if you are a leadership-built person, you will push every day to be the best you can be. Don't get lost in the success. Think about the things that mean the most to you, the little things, and how important, what you've done. I can't tell you how many times I have to tell my people to stop. I said, what have you done to be successful lately? And I don't know, we've just been so busy. Name them. Write them down. I have to stop and write them down. Don't forget your accomplishments. And I think that's how you support your team. And that's how you lead them and say, you've been so busy. Think about the wins. Because you see a lot of that. Think about the wins. I thought you wanted it. I was going to give it back.
Good evening, sir. My name is Andrew Painter, and today I'm with the city, Alexander. And I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. So as a Memphian or someone who's from Memphis, I believe a lot of the crime can be attributed to the drug culture there, and the high density of homelessness and high density of crime. I feel like both can be attributed to drug. So my question is, how do you as an agency, with your leadership over a lot of drug enforcement and drug task forces, how do you combat the inevitability of long-term drug and short-term and long-term?
So I think they kind of are one and the same, the short-term and the long-term. I'm going to be short, I know we only have just a little bit of time left, but I'll tell you that it is, one is about the relationships. An agency in an area has to be willing to accept your help, right? And we have some of those relationships, but it is being highly sophisticated, using these Title III investigations, your wiretaps, and all of the things that we use that most folks can't bring to the table. Some can, some can't. It's making sure that we support folks who have the resources and those who don't, because drugs aren't birthed in Memphis, so we have to make sure that we collaborate on a national level about this local.
Thank you.
I could have spent an hour and a half. I didn't give you a great answer to this an hour and a half answer.
Good evening, sir. My name is Krishna. I'm from College Grove, Tennessee. But tonight I'm representing Tennessee City. My question is, with crime rising every day, the social media threats, how do you deal with all these problems with just 1,000 people?
ask me one more time, because here's what I want to do real quick. I want to say this before everybody gets going. This is my email address. If anybody needs to get a hold of me in the future and wants to talk about your future, please, there it is, and I will email you back. And I know everybody's getting ready to be gone, so I apologize. Ask me one more time.
No, with crime rising every day, how do you and your team deal with the pressure of just like 1,000 people dealing with issues all across the state?
Man, and again, there's the $1 million question, and I think it is that we have guardrails in place because we can't work cases that are violent crime cases. That's what we're talking about. We can't work violent crime cases unless prosecutors' offices ask us to get involved. So that narrows the scope of what we work because they know there's only so many of us. Make sense? And then you have to decide where, what is the greatest impact. And for us, it's homicide all day long. Homicide, officer involved use of force. It's a decision tree of one, what has happened and can you change it? And I think that's one other really important part is can we stop something from happening? That's our first priority. Second priority is what has happened is really bad that we have to respond to. Yeah, absolutely. Thank y'all for your
Couple links right here. Did y'all see that?
Yes, sir.